Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coach Talks. I'm CJ Pringle, a certified ADHD life coach, and in this episode, Christina Proctor, a fellow coach from Agave Health, has graciously volunteered to be my client, and we'll be diving into her challenge of rebuilding routines and systems in the wake of Hurricane Helene. You'll hear how we work together to find practical solutions when resources are disrupted, and how coaching helps her navigate these hurdles. Let's jump right in. Okay, Christina,
Hey,
what would you like to be coached on today?
I would like to be coached on rebuilding routines and systems after um, I'm going through the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, and I had built some really great routines that are very supportive of my needs, and I'm struggling to recreate them without some of the resources that I was using. So like I used to go to the gym. I was building up going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, and I had gotten up to 2 times a week, which lowers my anxiety when I exercise. Having certain foods, they're just not in the grocery store right now. And so there's a lot of things like that where my systems and my processes are not an option at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of struggling with getting some support for myself that way.
Yeah, it's tough when we don't have the tools that we need. So, what outcome are you hoping for by the end of our session today?
Mostly an outcome to support myself when it comes to exercise and some physical activity, um, that I can realistically do in my current state that will keep me kind of engaged or, yeah, be able to do with the limited resources I have right now.
So, by the end of our session, if you have some idea of a routine that will keep you active until the other tools that you were using previously are back in play, that will
Mhm.
be a successful session for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned um, the hurricane, but is there anything else that makes this significant to you right now?
Um, I have other like support systems, like I have therapy that I do, and I've got other tools like that. This is significant for me because this is one of the ways that I lessen my overwhelm and anxiety. I feel that stress very much in my body all the time. And so when I exercise, it helps me release that a lot. And I have just a better perspective on life as a whole when I have some physical activity.
Okay. So, where would you like to start exploring this topic, Christina?
Um, kind of telling, maybe sharing with what I have done in the past and what tools I have access to now.
Sure.
Cool. So I started working up to getting up earlier and earlier so I could go to the gym in the morning after I dropped the kiddo off at school. So I still have the morning time. I'm still getting up around that roughly same time. So I have some time before I start work. The gym is currently closed because they don't have water or electricity right now. So that's not an option right now. And the kiddo is starting back at school. So I will have that routine and getting up and moving still. So I'll have that time available. Um, I don't necessarily always have reliable internet or data. So pulling up YouTube videos for exercise has not worked most mornings, which is frustrating. Um, but I do have a neighborhood and a dog and walking and a yoga mat and stuff like that. I'm having just a mental block on figuring out where to start so I can get some exercise.
Yeah. So, when you say some exercise, what does that look like for you in terms of, say, time frame?
Yeah, so I do, in my mind, I do good, better, best modeling all the time. So I know you're familiar with that. So I have some exercise can be 5 minutes, crunches, wall sits, just something simple. And then another one might be like a 20, 30 minute would be better. And then where I'm like sweating and really getting into it. And then best would be like 45 minutes to an hour, super engaged in something. And it really takes a lot of like my body and my focus to be on it so that I can like be in it and leave the rest of the day away.
So what determines your good, better, best model?
Usually how much like stress is relieved or how much sweat is happening. So good is usually stretching, light exercise, not a whole lot of sweating. Better is I'm like kind of like losing my breath or just kind of like getting into it, deeper breathing and stuff. And then best is like I'm sweating and I'm,
Right.
breathing hard and I'm like super in it. That's how I rate that.
But what determines which one you do?
Oh, energy levels and time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what does your energy level have to look like for each?
Um, Energy level for the 5 minute or so is when I am at the point where I would rather just like be face down on the couch. And I'm just telling myself I just have to do 5 minutes. And I like set a timer and that's all I have to do. And it's a way for me to kind of get the momentum. So it's like very low energy. Better is usually when I have limited time and I've got like medium energy or low energy, but I've got some time to be able to actually do it, like take the dog on a 15-20 minute walk up the hill. And then best is when I am probably vibrating. My hyperactivity is so high and I need to do something to let it out.
And
And
how
I,
often does that happen?
about the vibrating, about 2 to 3 times a week.
And is there anything in particular that causes that?
Um, Yeah, so usually I'm vibrating when things are going really well with business, with clients, with I have my finances organized and don't have to pay any ADHD tax on stuff. And I get solid sleep. That's when vibrating's and I'm, actually eating when I need to be eating for myself. It's like everything's kind of being followed and then my energy like spikes.
And so you're saying that that sounds like perfection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's a really good point. But it does happen like 2 to 3 times a week when I'm usually not in the situation that I'm in right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it safe to say that perfection most likely won't happen anytime soon?
That's very true. That is a good point. That is accurate. Yeah. My ideal, well, and this is hard to say, my ideal exercise and energy levels is not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does that bring a target into clearer focus for you?
Yes, it does when it comes to like exercise. Um, so probably focusing on good and better in that range. Because I was thinking best, I'm like, I can't go hiking. There's no hiking trails because they're dangerous right now. I can't do the classes because they're not available. Can't go to the gym. But that's kind of what I enjoy, and I get a high off those things. But that's not where I am right now. So that's a really good point. It's not going to happen right now. It's not going to happen right now. Okay.
So what does that mean for you now, in terms of some of the other factors? You mentioned your diet, you mentioned exercise. I'm sorry, not your diet, but sleep. You mentioned your
Sleep.
diet, you mentioned sleep. What's the likelihood of you getting sufficient enough sleep for better?
What's the likelihood?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high.
Okay.
I do, it's not my sleep, I will honestly say I know it is not perfect and I don't shoot for perfect because it doesn't work that way in life ever. I will say 5 out of 7 nights a week, it's a solid 7, 8 hours. So
Awesome.
I feel pretty good about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get your eight, a 30-minute workout is going to
Mhm.
be what you're shooting for.
Okay.
And what happens when you get your eight and you're ready to do your 30-minute?
What happens when I get
Yeah,
my 8 hours of sleep? Like, how does it happen?
not necessarily how, but what gets in your way?
Of doing the 30-minute workout? Um, I compare it to the best,
Okay.
right? Right. So it's like on a Wednesday, it's like, okay, this would have been a day that I would have gone to the gym and done these three things. Two of them I really enjoy. One of them is like meh, but I get to do those other two things. So it trumps it. So I just think about those things that I miss doing
Mm-hmm.
versus like stretching, doing a yoga book or something at home. It's just like it's the body doubling
Mm-hmm.
at the gym for me too. So otherwise I'm like home alone.
Yeah. So it sounds like you need that accountability.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wondering how you might be able to create that for yourself in these new set of circumstances.
Okay. Um, I have several people in my neighborhood that work remotely that are similar to me are at home and their routines thrown off. So I wonder if one of them would be down for at least like once or twice a week, even just like walking the dogs.
What do you think?
I think that's an easy win because I think I know their answer will be, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
What do you think about the time of day? Do you think that might create any challenge?
Um, there's enough people in my neighborhood where some of them have young kids, some of them don't, where I think I could figure out if there's time that worked better for other people, for me and for others. Like I think that either a lunchtime walk for some of them and or an early evening before the sun goes down. I
How do you
think
think that'll work out for you?
I think it'll work out well. I will miss mornings because that's when I like to get some of that energy out and it helps me with that anxiety.
Mhm.
Um, but I think those are some good options for better right now, for good and
Okay.
better.
Okay. So when you adjust your mindset, how does that feel for you?
It still makes me sad of the loss of,
Yeah.
I had a good infrastructure and it was getting easy. And so it made it feel really attainable throughout the week. And it just kind of makes me sad with everything else. And it also makes me feel like there's a solution for now. This is where I am right now.
So
So,
it's temporary.
yes. And that's okay. And I get to hang out with some people that are cool that live across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Christina, what you might be able to do to explore other options so you're less sad about it.
I do a lot of exercises about with journaling and I have my therapist. So I do have infrastructure for those things.
Okay.
So I'm able to process on paper when it's happening, but also I have a notes app on my phone in a place where I can like write it down. And usually when I write it down and then reread it, I'm like, either that's really silly or, oh, of course you're sad about that. Like that is okay. And so I let myself feel it. And then I realize once you let yourself feel the feeling, it passes a lot faster than just like making
Yeah.
yourself push it down and put it away. So I feel good about the tools that I have, unless you've got some recommendations or some thoughts on those.
I was just going to ask if I could share something,
Yeah.
because sometimes what works for other ADHDers is to actually research what other resources are available given those specific circumstances.
Mm,
Um, so just doing the research to see what else
yeah.
is out there might surprise you.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself. I just know that sometimes doing a little digging could be helpful, and you might come up with something that you may not have thought of,
Yeah.
or a tool that you can use in a different way.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Doing some research. I'm going to write that down.
And the friends that you are thinking about walking your dogs with might
Yeah.
also be willing to do kind of like a mini class
Yeah.
of sorts where
Yeah.
you are doing the same exercises together.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think some of them definitely would.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. That's a good idea.
So I'm noticing the time, and I'm wondering what you're taking away from this session.
I'm taking away that I keep focusing on the ideal I had, and that's not the state that I'm in. And that's okay. It's okay to also grieve it.
Sure.
And it's okay to view this as temporary and figure out what is good and better in this current temporary state. And one of my challenges, as you pointed out, was that the accountability part and having other people around me body doubling with the gym and stuff like that. So bringing in other people into it, like my neighbors and stuff. So that's me.
So, what would you like to commit to over the next week to kind of move in this direction of getting some semblance of a workout routine in place?
I would like to commit to sending a text message to my neighbors and asking them if they would like to go on walks during the day or in the morning, or if there's multiple times, because I'm here all the time. Um, and then I'd also like to commit to, after talking with you, I remember I've got a book that has some simple stretches that could be a good 5 minute, something new and novel for my ADHD brain to work through. Because it's got different stretches for when you're high stressed or when you're feeling ill, and like they've got different types of options. And so that would be a good version of good exercise on those days that I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with everything right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think might get in your way of doing these things that you just talked about?
Thinking I have to do them perfectly.
Yes,
Nobody's
I
ever
hear
said
that.
that.
Ever.
Ever. None of us ever with ADHD have ever said that. Uh,
So,
uh,
what do you think you might be able to do to combat that
some
thought
is better
process?
than none.
Some is better than none.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you tried that before?
Oh, yeah.
And how has it worked for you?
It works well.
Okay.
Works well. To just be like, I'm incremental improvement is improvement. The math on
Excellent.
that, I think, is like if you improve 1% every single day, so it's like 0.01 times 365, you'll improve by 37x by the end of the year.
Isn't
So
that
it's like,
amazing?
that's math. So it's like some improvement is still improvement.
It's a good reminder. Okay. So, are you happy to make this the end of our session?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
Well,
Cool.
thanks for offering to be my client.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, our members will take something valuable away from this.
Should we check in next week so you can see what's going on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will definitely be checking in.
Sounds good. Cool.
Thanks for joining us on this insightful journey through Watch a Coach Get Coached. And a huge thank you again to Christina for being so open and willing to be my client for this episode. And I hope you found value in the strategies we explore today. And remember, coaching can be a powerful tool for anyone navigating challenges, whether you're a coach or not. Thanks for listening.